Hey guys, happy over the hump day. I say over the hump day because we're done with the day. We don't have to get over that hump anymore. So this is going to be a quick one because we finished up the book today and it took us about half the class to get through the end of the book and to discuss a little bit the direction you're going with your journal entries, and had a nice chat about just how surprisingly much of this book is based in actual documented historical fact. Everything, like all of the people, all of the events, except for the exact Meekers and Betsy Reed. And my guess is that because there are historical accounts of everybody else that's mentioned in the book, but the Meekers are just a known family from Reading, my guess is they didn't use the real people because they weren't documented in any of these events, and they didn't want to get it wrong or misrepresent a family that most likely still exists in the town of Wilkes-Barre, which is where Tim and Mother moved after the war was over. And you know, we had a discussion as we found out, and this is where, spoiler alert, cover your ears or cover your ears doesn't really work. You should probably just pause the video because I'm about to give away the end of the book if you haven't read it yet. We talked about how when Sam does get executed and sort of the way that is sort of the end of Tim's recollection. Remember, he's writing this 50 years after the beginning of the war in 1826, and he's looking back on his life, and he's really saying, okay, these were the years that really impacted the direction that the rest of my life took. And when we started talking about that, we started talking about your 5th journal entry, because it really was this major event, and Sam and Tim's final conversation would definitely be written about. And if you're a father, because you're a spirit, you're able to look in on all of this and react to it, even though you can't affect any outcomes anymore or can't change anything. And we talked about, you know, moving forward, because we do have all of this time gap. We have almost a 50-year time gap that we have to fill in, not only for the living characters of Tim, Mother, and Betsy, but we have the gaps to still fill in if we chose Sam or Father. I didn't hear from anybody else choosing any of the other characters like Jerry or any of them, so I don't think I need to address it right now in this particular video. But I would certainly think, and we had discussions about this in every class, and you guys came up with some really good ideas, some ones that even I didn't. For example, somebody in one of the classes said that she stopped writing from Sam's perspective right when they came to get him to take him off to be executed, and that they delivered the journal to Tim, and Tim almost wrote like a response for the second half of Sam's last journal entry. And so she switched characters to Tim right at the end because Tim found the journal. I thought that was a remarkably interesting and innovative and fresh idea, which is very cool. That final interaction between Sam and Tim. What do you wish you had said instead? It seemed like there was a lot of love there. Do you wish that you had said something else? Do you wish you had been able to get over there one more time? Talking about what was going through Tim's mind after he really just couldn't save his brother. All of this notion of, did Sam and Father, again, because they're spirits now, what was their reaction to the Patriots actually winning the war? Because remember, neither one of them thought it was going to happen. So what was their reaction? Are they looking at Tim and Mother with pride? If you're Betsy Reed, we don't hear about you. Your fiance was just killed. Did you move on with your life? Did you meet somebody else? Did you get married? Did you have kids? Or were you really kind of lost in the sadness of losing Sam, and maybe you just continued to live with your parents where you did, and just live out the rest of your life that way? All of these things are really interesting things to put into your imagination, because I'm actually reading a book right now that is about hope, but it talks about the different parts of your brain, like the hippocampus and like a whole bunch of different things. You don't really need to know all the science behind it, but it really says that, you know, we take past experiences and we use them to forecast our future. It's the same thing as kind of weathermen and weather women do. They take a look, meteorologists, they take a look at past behavior of storms and of different weather patterns and different weather habits, and they take their knowledge of science and they use it to predict, based on everything else that's going on, what the weather's going to be like. Well, we do the same thing in our own lives. We experience the actions, decisions, and impact and experiences, again, of others, and use those to inform and almost what the book that I'm reading calls pre-live future experiences for us. It allows us to say, okay, if I were ever in this situation, this is what I would do based on all of these things that have happened in my past or all of the information I've gathered in my past. Well, you're kind of in the position where you're forming up a lot of this pre-living thing that the book talks about. You've got hopes and dreams for the future. You've got plans for yourself. You've got things that you're interested in, things that you've experienced, things that you've heard, things that you've learned, things that you've read, things that you've watched, things that you've whatever. And you're using them to develop not only a sense of yourself and who you are now, but a sense of who you're going to be in the future. And that's why I'm very interested in this last journal entry, because you're going to be doing that for a character that you've been living as throughout the course of the book. And so I encourage you to keep exploring these deep questions about, you know, maybe what was the move like for Mother and Tim? And if your mother, you know, you never served another Continental officer, you made Tim do it. What did you do while the Continental officers were in that restaurant, or in the tavern, or in the store? What was that like? What were those feelings like? And if we can put ourselves into these situations, it's actually called empathy. Being able to put yourself into the situation of another and experience the emotion that they are going through and think about what you would do in that situation. And as we do that, we really become better people because we develop the ability to understand the people around us, which makes us able to connect to them in a meaningful way, and that enables us to use all of the gifts we have and all of the gifts they have to make our own lives and situations and selves more productive, happier, more hopeful, and really more successful. And so I encourage you to keep that in your head as you're thinking about character, plot, conflict, theme, as you're thinking about plot structure, as you're thinking about how they work together, as you're thinking about these characters, as you're doing all of this predicting, finding main ideas, getting in touch with the author's purpose, and all the things that a good reader really does. Don't forget that the biggest part of being a good reader is knowing that you are the reader and what purpose you serve. You take all of these things and you synthesize them, you put them together, and you make them apply to you so that you can ultimately be a better, healthier, more complete, more successful person. That's what I think the power really is, and where it really lies in school, in literature, in life, is being able to gather up all this stuff and alter ourselves for the better. Your best is good enough for today. Always commit to making your best better. And this is how we do this. We combine all this information, we take it all in, we try to understand it, we connect to it, and we use it. So it doesn't end up in the garbage cans. It ends up in a very real way, impacting our lives for the positive. Guys, it's been a pleasure doing this novel with you. Don't forget to come prepared with all the stuff that you see down below in the homework section. Your section 5 is due, but remember, you do not have to do the internet scavenger hunt yet. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. Make sure you come prepared with all of your journal entries for tomorrow, all the rough drafts, because we are peer reviewing. We are engaging in the writer's process so that we can get a good feel of how our journals can connect even more with the people who are going to pick them up and read them. The final copy will be due on Monday, along with the entire completed packet. Again, that's the way I get your homework grade and your project grade for the 5-week grades, because this unit has dominated our entire first half of this quarter so far. So make sure you don't lose that, make sure you hang on to it, make sure you're working your hardest on it, because you are going to get a grade that's reflective of that particular packet and that other project. So, and not that it's been bad in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, I want to reiterate, I want to say over again how proud I am of all of you, because you really took the lessons of quarter 1 and quarter 2, and you said, man, I got to learn from this. You took maybe those small failures and turned them into positive teaching experiences. And guys, that's all I'm looking for as a teacher. That's really what makes me fly as a teacher, is when you make mistakes and you learn from them and you move forward. Because that's what education really is. It's not a good score on a report card. It's not a good score on a test. It's not a good score on an assessment. Don't tell your administrators and your parents that I don't care about test scores. I really don't, though, because really a test score measures where you are, not where you could go. See, as long as you're committed to using every experience to make yourself better, it doesn't matter if you fall down or fail or don't fully succeed the first time. As long as you get back up and you keep trying to improve and learn from everything that's happened, you're winning. You're winning at life. People are going to want to be around you, and you're going to be a happy person. And that's what we're striving for. Guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.